Two brothers, Chima and Eze, grew up alongside a beautiful girl named Adaeze. She was tall and stunning, with a kind heart that made her beloved by all who knew her. Her long, dark hair cascaded down her back, and her deep brown eyes sparkled with intelligence and warmth. Adaeze was not only beautiful but also compassionate and hardworking, traits that endeared her to the villagers. Chima, the older brother, was strong and reliable. He was known for his wisdom and calm demeanor. Eze, the younger brother, was more impulsive and energetic, always eager to prove himself. Despite their differences, the brothers shared a close bond and were inseparable. As children, the three of them played together, climbing trees and exploring the forests surrounding their village. Adaeze's laughter was a constant melody in their lives, and her presence brought joy and harmony. Over time, as they grew older, both Chima and Eze began to develop feelings for Adaeze. They admired her beauty and kindness, and each harbored a secret hope that she would choose them. One sunny afternoon, the brothers sat under a large mango tree, discussing their future plans. "I think I want to be a farmer," Chima said, gazing at the field stretching out before them. "There's something satisfying about working the land and seeing the fruits of your labor." Eze nodded. "Farming is good, but I want to travel, see the world beyond our village. There's so much out there we haven't seen." Adaeze smiled at their dreams. "Whatever you choose, I know you'll both be successful. You have the determination and strength to achieve anything." Her words warmed their hearts, but also deepened the silent competition between them. Both wanted to win her heart, but neither wanted to hurt their brother. As time went by, their feelings for Adaeze became more pronounced. They began to vie for her attention in subtle ways, each trying to outdo the other with small gestures of kindness. Chima would bring her the ripest mangoes from the tree, while Eze would carve wooden figurines for her. Adaeze, unaware of the growing tension, accepted their gifts with gratitude, treating them both with equal affection. One evening, as the sun set over the village, Chima and Eze sat outside their hut, the warm breeze rustling the leaves around them. "Eze," Chima began, his voice serious, "we need to talk about Adaeze." Eze looked at his brother, sensing the weight of the conversation. "What about her?" "It's clear that we both have feelings for her," Chima said. "But we can't let this come between us. We are brothers first and foremost." Eze's eyes flashed with determination. "I love her, Chima. And I'm willing to fight for her." Chima sighed. "I love her too, but we can't let our love for her destroy our bond. We need to find a way to handle this without tearing each other apart." Eze clenched his fist. "What do you suggest? That we just step aside and let the other one have her?" "No," Chima replied calmly. "We need to talk to her. Let her decide. It's not fair to put her in the middle of our rivalry without her knowing." Eze nodded reluctantly. "Fine. We'll talk to her. But I'm not giving up without a fight." The next day, they approached Adaeze together. She was in her family's compound, tending to the garden. Seeing the serious expressions on their faces, she set down her tools and walked over to them. "What's wrong?" she asked, concern evident in her voice. Chima took a deep breath. "Adaeze, we need to tell you something. Both Eze and I have feelings for you. We have for a long time." Adaeze's eyes widened in surprise. I didn't know. This is unexpected." He stepped forward. "We didn't want to pressure you, but it's important that you know. We both care for you deeply." Adaeze looked at them, her heart heavy with the weight of their words. "I care for both of you too. This is difficult. I need some time to think." Chima nodded. "Take all the time you need. We just wanted to be honest with you. As the brothers walked away, Adaeze sat down, her mind racing. She loved them both, but she knew she couldn't choose between them without breaking one of their hearts. The weight of their confession pressed heavily on her, and she prayed for guidance in making the right decision. The days turned into weeks, and Adaeze found herself struggling with her feelings. She spent time with both brothers, hoping to gain clarity, but instead found her heart more torn than ever. Chima and Eze, on the other hand, grew increasingly competitive, each trying to win her favor. One day, Chima invited Adaeze to accompany him to the river. They walked along the path, the sound of the flowing water providing a soothing backdrop to their conversation. Adaeze, Chima began, I want you to know that my feelings for you are sincere. I've admired you for a long time, not just for your beauty, but for your kindness and strength. Adaeze smiled softly. Thank you, Chima. You have always been a good friend to me. Chima took a deep breath, his heart pounding. I want to be more than a friend, Adaeze. I want to build a future with you. Will you consider giving me a chance? Adaeze looked into his eyes, seeing the earnestness and love there. She felt a warmth in her heart but was still unsure. Chima, I care for you deeply, but I need more time to think. Chima nodded, though disappointment flickered in his eyes. I understand. Take all the time you need. Meanwhile, Eze had his own plans to win Adaeze's heart. He decided to take her on a picnic, hoping that the time spent together would help her see how much he cared for her. They sat under a large tree, sharing stories and laughter. Adaeze said, you always know how to make me laugh. I've always appreciated that about you. Eze grinned. I just want to see you happy, Adaeze. You've always been special to me. He reached out and took her hand, his expression serious. Adaeze, I love you. I want to spend my life with you. Will you consider being with me? Adaeze's heart ached with indecision. Eze, you mean a lot to me too. But this is so difficult. I don't want to hurt either of you. Eze squeezed her hand gently. I understand. Just know that I'm here for you, no matter what. As the weeks went by, the brothers' rivalry grew more intense. Their once strong bond began to fray, and their conversations became strained. They no longer shared the easy camaraderie they once had, and the villagers began to notice the tension between them. One evening, Chima and Eze found themselves alone in their hut. The air was thick with unspoken words, and the silence was heavy. Eze, Chima finally said, breaking the silence, we need to talk. Eze looked up, his eyes wary. About what? About Adaeze, Chima replied. This situation is tearing us apart. We can't go on like this. Eze's jaw tightened. What do you suggest? That one of us just gives up? Chima shook his head. No, but we need to find a way to handle this without losing each other. We are brothers, Eze. We can't let this girl come between us. Eze's eyes flashed with anger. It's easy for you to say. You've always been the favorite, the responsible one. I've always been in your shadow. This is my chance to have something for myself. Chima sighed, his heart heavy. I never wanted to compete with you, Eze. I just want us to be happy. Eze stood up, his fist clenched. Well, maybe it's time I stopped living in your shadow. Adaeze deserves to choose for herself, and I'll do whatever it takes to win her. Chima stood as well, his expression resolute. So will I. Their confrontation ended in silence, the unspoken challenge hanging between them. They both knew that the situation was spiraling out of control, but neither was willing to back down. The love they shared for Adaeze had become a wedge, driving them further apart. The tension between Chima and Eze continued to escalate. They were no longer the inseparable brothers they once were. Their conversations were terse, and they avoided each other's company whenever possible. Adaeze noticed the strain and felt a deep sense of guilt. She had never wanted to come between them, but she didn't know how to resolve the situation. One day, Eze decided to confront Chima directly. They met at their usual spot under the mango tree, the air heavy with unresolved tension. "Chima," Eze began, his voice low, "we need to talk." Chima looked up from his walk, his eyes weary. "About what?" "Adaeze," Eze replied. "This situation is tearing us apart. We need to figure out a solution." Chima sighed, setting aside his tools. "I know, Eze. But what can we do? We both love her." Eze clenched his fist, his frustration evident. "There has to be a way. We can't go on like this." Chima's eyes softened. "Eze, I don't want to lose you over this. You're my brother. We need to find a way to move forward, no matter what happens." Eze's anger dissipated slightly, replaced by a sense of sadness. "I don't want to lose you either, Chima. But I can't just let go of my feelings for Adaeze." Chima nodded. "I understand. Maybe we need to talk to her again. Let her know how serious this is for us." They decided to approach Adaeze together, hoping to find a resolution. She was in her family's compound, tending to the garden. When she saw them, she knew that this was a significant moment. "Adaeze," Chima began, "we need to talk to you. This situation is causing a lot of pain for all of us." Adaeze's heart ached. "I know, Chima. I never wanted this to happen." He stepped forward, his eyes earnest. "We both love you, Adaeze. But this is tearing us apart. We need to find a way to move forward." Adaeze felt tears welling up in her eyes. "I don't want to hurt either of you. I love you both as my dear friends. This is so difficult." Chima reached out and took her hand. "Whatever happens, we want you to be happy. We just need to find a way to resolve this without losing each other." Adaeze nodded, her heart heavy with the weight of their words. "I'll think about it. I need some time to process everything." As the weeks went by, the situation remained unresolved. Chima and Eze continued to vie for Adaeze's attention, and the strain between them grew. Their once strong bond seemed irreparably damaged, and the villagers began to notice the change in their relationship. One fateful day, Eze's jealousy and frustration reached a boiling point. He decided to take drastic action, hoping to eliminate the competition once and for all. He invited Chima to go to the farm with him, intending to confront him away from prying eyes. As they walked through the fields, the tension between them was palpable. Chima sensed that something was amiss but couldn't pinpoint what it was. "Eze," Chima began, trying to break the tension, "what's going on? You seem tense." Eze's eyes flickered with a dangerous glint. "We need to settle this once and for all, Chima." Chima's heart began to race. "What do you mean?" Eze's voice was cold. "Adaeze, I'm tired of competing with you. This ends today." Chima took a step back, realizing the danger he was in. "Eze, we can find another way. We don't have to do this." Eze's anger boiled over. "No, Chima. I'm done living in your shadow. This is my chance to finally have something for myself." He lunged at Chima, and a fierce struggle ensued. Chima fought to defend himself, but Eze's rage gave him an edge. In a moment of desperation, Eze struck a fatal blow, and Chima fell to the ground, his life slipping away. He stood over his brother's body, his heart pounding with a mix of triumph and horror. He knew that he had crossed a line that could never be undone. Panicking, he fled the scene, leaving Chima's lifeless body behind. The villagers of Umuse were shaken when Chima didn't return home that evening. They searched for him, but there was no sign of the older brother. Adaeze was beside herself with worry, fearing the worst. She prayed for his safe return, hoping that he was merely lost or injured. 2 days later, Chima's body was found in the fields, and the village was plunged into mourning. The discovery of a bracelet near the body, one that belonged to Eze, raised suspicions. The villagers couldn't believe that one brother would kill the other, but the evidence was undeniable. Eze was brought before the village elders, his guilt evident in his eyes. He knew that he couldn't escape the consequences of his actions. Eze, the head elder said sternly, "Do you deny that you killed your brother?" Eze's voice trembled as he spoke. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was angry and jealous. I didn't know what I was doing. Adaeze, standing among the villagers, felt her heart shatter. She had loved both brothers, and now one was dead, and the other was a murderer. The weight of the tragedy was almost too much to bear. "Eze," she said, her voice breaking, "how could you do this? We were all friends. I never wanted this." Eze looked at her, tears streaming down his face. "Adaeze, I'm so sorry. I let my jealousy consume me. I didn't want to lose you to him." The village elders deliberated on Eze's fate. The crime was severe, and justice had to be served. Eze was sentenced to life in prison, a punishment that reflected the gravity of his actions. As Eze was led away, Adaeze felt a deep sense of loss. The boy she had grown up with had turned into a heartless man, driven by jealousy and rage. The once happy memories of their childhood were now tainted by tragedy. The villagers mourned the loss of Chima, a young man full of potential and kindness. His death left a void in the community, and his absence was felt deeply by all who knew him. In the wake of the tragedy, Adaeze struggled to move on with her life. She couldn't bear to stay in the village, surrounded by memories of the brothers she had loved. She decided to leave Umuse and start afresh in the city, hoping to find some semblance of peace. The journey to the city was long and arduous, but Adaeze was determined to build a new life for herself. She found a small apartment and enrolled in a university, focusing on her studies to distract herself from the pain of the past. In the city, Adaeze met new friends and slowly began to heal. She threw herself into her studies, excelling in her courses and gaining the respect of her professors and peers. Despite the new environment, the memories of Chima and Eze lingered in her heart, a constant reminder of the tragedy that had shaped her life. One day, as she was walking through the bustling streets of the city, Adaeze met a kind and gentle man named Nnamdi. He was drawn to her beauty and intelligence, and they quickly became friends. Nnamdi's presence brought a sense of comfort and stability to Adaeze's life, and she found herself slowly opening up to him. As their friendship deepened, Nnamdi sensed that Adaeze was carrying a heavy burden. One evening, as they sat in a quiet park, he gently broached the subject. "Adaeze," Nnamdi began, "I can see that something is weighing on you. If you ever want to talk about it, I'm here for you." Adaeze looked at him, tears welling up in her eyes. "Thank you, Nnamdi. It's just, I've been through a lot. It's hard to talk about." Nnamdi took her hand, his touch reassuring. "Take your time. I'm here whenever you're ready." Over the coming weeks, Adaeze slowly began to open up about her past. She told Nnamdi about Chima and Eze, the love they had shared, and the tragic events that had torn their lives apart. Nnamdi listened patiently, offering support and understanding. "I'm so sorry for what you've been through," Nnamdi said softly. You've shown incredible strength in moving forward with your life. Adaeze felt a sense of relief in sharing her story. Thank you, Nnamdi. It's been hard, but I'm trying to find a way to heal. As their bond grew stronger, Adaeze and Nnamdi's friendship blossomed into love. Nnamdi's kindness and patience helped Adaeze to heal, and she found herself beginning to trust and love again.